This is my third video. I'm doing it in the dark because I realised that it looked a little bit odd with the light on. I look a little bit better in the dark at my age, I think. But anyway, I won't waste time rambling on about superficialities that you're not interested in, and I ain't either. I'm holding the phone, so I hope it's not too jerky, because that way it's a bit closer, because it fell over and spilt the thing the other day. But anyway, I'm digressing. I'm still learning how to get used to talking into this mobile phone, because I've never done it before, so I must appear very awkward and amateurish, very much so, and I am, and I apologise that it looks and probably sounds so bad, and I haven't got it coherent. But I just want to say a few little things. This is just me trying it out, really, and I'm sure most of you will turn it off straight away, because it would. I think I probably would, but it's just a trial for me to get used to the apparatus, shall I say, and to get used to talking into a computer-like thing, which I prefer to talk directly to people. That's the only way I can really do things naturally, because I'm still a relatively natural person in a world that is definitely not natural anymore. As I've said, I only put the video on just to think about, even to get a bit more practical, rather than going to taking on what I was said before, that we live in a totally fake world. Everything is false and a deception and a lie, and human beings are going along with the deception and the lie and the falseness, and it's very hard for me to even concentrate, because there are so many distractions, and this is the same for humans. Everything is a distraction from what's really going on. Everything is a distraction from the truth. If even the things that we think are important that are going on, if we see it on the news or see it even around us, even if we saw it on our very street, you can be sure that that is a distraction from something that is really important that they don't want you to see. And in recent times, from just my own personal experience, I've seen that. I've seen where I have seen stuff that is quite out of this world, almost, you could say, by normal standards, and something very important, what I would consider to be unrealistic and bizarre, a bit like seeing something that you're not familiar with, something that you would think could not even exist even, and then I would see that the vast majority of people are, say, at some sort of concert or something at the time, and that they're having some sort of dispute there, or some sort of rally against something, some sort of protest or something, and I'm thinking, hey, they think they're doing something so important, and even I would have probably thought, hey, that seems reasonable for them to be protesting about that, or doing this, or down there in large numbers doing that. But what I'm just seeing as a single person here is actually more important, and actually is really the truth of what's going on, whereas that is only important at a very small level, and it's not really what's going on. It's just, I haven't actually told you the specific example, because I don't want to get into those other levels, especially until I find out much more. But I am fairly convinced that the other levels exist, but I don't want to speak too much about them at this stage, because I think that, as I've said before, I have to go back to 12 months ago where I was at the normal human level of dealing with the normal human things that go on. And I still am, but at the same time I've become aware that everything is not what it appears to be. And I see it because I experienced it, because my circumstances have changed, and therefore I've had to look further, as I've said. But at any rate, what I am going to say is, even at practical little levels, we are so deceived, I believe. We put our little recycling bins out, and we worry about the climate and all these different things that are going on, or appear to be going on. And, I myself believe or think, or of the opinion, because I'm careful of my words, trying to be anyway, because it is important these days, it seems to be, of the opinion that, I do think that one of the reasons I am fairly targeted, and this would probably seem strange to most people, is because I really do care in some ways more about this planet, this actual Earth, the living creatures that live with us, and the wildlife and things that are around us, more than most people in a way. And yet, you wouldn't hear me talking about green or anything like it. I just do think I have more time in some ways for the animals and the trees and the birds and nature than humans in some ways, because humans are supposed to be so much more intelligent, and they are blessed with awareness, which they've allowed to be pushed down. Human beings' one of their greatest abilities is their incredible knowingness and awareness, the ability to be aware and to know and perceive things. And that has been suppressed by what's around them, by the powers that be, the way that they trick everyone to where they think that what they're seeing is reality, and it's blinding them from the truth of what's really going on, and even disconnecting them from the real world, even though I know we talk about the climate and all these things, but we're blaming ourselves for all these things. That's why we're recycling and putting our things in the bin, thinking we're doing the good thing, thinking that, oh yeah, maybe we should, even I was just thinking, maybe is there an alternative to using the paper or the plastics? And it occurred to me that there probably are alternatives to all these things, simple alternatives to where we don't have to destroy the planet. I believe the powers that be want us to destroy the planet. They trick us into doing it, and then they blame us. We feel guilty. We'll then go along with their ideas to, yes, recycle, or even outrageous ideas, no doubt, in the future, if we actually blame ourselves. I do not think that we contribute to any of these things, and I believe that the powers that be could and do have the ability to clean up the planet in the blink of an eye, the ability to use alternative things rather than deliberately seducing us into needing things where we have to cut down trees and things to provide those things. I believe that they already have the ability to give us the things that we're even addicted to that we need without destroying the planet. I believe their system is set up by the powers that be, who are controlled by very negative, shall we say, negative forces. Even the planet now, my first video was Satan rules the world. Well, look, that is that is literal, but it's also a figure of speech, because it may be that a lot of people are bowing down to the ideas of Satan, is what I'm saying. And some people are actually, even physically, at a physical level, actually worshipping this idea, shall we say. It's an entity to them, but it's also an idea. It's a bit like all the religion, all the ideas, the idea of particular religious masters, the idea of the particular religions, and the idea of the opposing force, like a Satan type entity. If you want to take it literal, you can. If you want to say that there is something else behind even the creation of these entities, which I think that is taking it too far for most people. But either way, the powers that be that do control this planet and do have immense technology that we are unaware of, and that we only get this, like the mobile phone I'm using now is probably like 1,000-year-old technology, almost, you could say. It's not what we get, nothing or very little, and we think that's the latest, and their technology is very advanced. So, and this is, even if you want to take it just at the human level, at the top, even though, like I say, once you go to the top of our world, even at the human level, these people or humans are not really human in the sense that we think. They have lost their consideration for their fellow human beings. They do not care less about mankind, humankind in any way. Their whole agenda is control, manipulation and deception, and running the world like Satan, who was the basically everything about the satanic type of way of looking at things is all built on lies. Satan was the master of lies. The dog, of course, does tend to be a little bit controlled, as you can hear too in the background, because the technology they have now, human beings can get the thoughts put into their head, and they can master the environment. By that I mean the environment is already controlled. We do not. There is no natural environment anymore. That is what I think. It is controlled by the powers that be. And I have proved this to myself in very recent times. I just tested it out because I said to myself, if I can see technology employed on myself and around me, and this is mind-blowing to me, I would not believe this possible, then I was like, oh, well, if that's possible, maybe if I look around the world and I see how even the environment is now very warped, I have to say maybe there is the manipulation and the control is much greater. So, I have looked at it and tested it out for myself personally. I can't prove it to anyone else.